YouTube can be a pretty terrifying place. With over 1,000 days worth of content being posted every single hour, it is impossible to fully monitor everything on this site. And for this reason, dark and disturbing content often falls through the cracks, unseen from the public eye. And for over a year, this was the case for the channel we're discussing today. That was until just a few days ago, when people started to take notice. On February 17th of 2020, a message was posted to the subreddit Deep Into YouTube. The post simply read, "I'm worried about these two narrators who act like this in every video." This was accompanied by a link to a video posted on July 27th of 2019 by a YouTube channel called Court K. The video was entitled Human Heart Visualization, Understanding Heart Failure. Here is a brief excerpt from the video.
Hello, my name is Court, and today I'm going to talk about the cardiovascular system. You might have heard of exploratory abdominal surgery, when something's wrong in a person's abdomen, but the doctor's not sure why or what it is, so they cut open the abdomen and do a surgery to find out what's wrong. That's why we often give them a diuretic to help them get rid of excess water. It will also help them breathe better.
Now, just initially watching that video, one glaring detail sticks out, and that is the fact that these two women featured within it appear unwell. For starters, they both seem to be having major difficulty speaking.
Many diseases will accelerate the declining.
Their words are slurred, rushed, and are said in a way that makes them sound as if maybe they're scared or just kind of out of it. And along with this, neither of them really look into the camera once, and are instead seen staring off camera very obviously at a script. And this is potentially showing us that these girls really aren't experts in this field and are instead reading off something that someone else wrote for them. I mean, you really don't get the sense that they know the subject well, as they are 100% dependent on that script. And not to mention the fact that they appear totally disinterested in the topic, and the fact that both of them just seem kind of spaced out. Like physically they're there, but mentally they are worlds away. Almost as if they were using drugs or being drugged. One video in and it's clear that something strange is going on here. Like, I don't know about you, but something about this video gave me incredibly bad vibes upon first watching it. And as I explored more of the content on the Court K channel, things only became stranger. After watching bits of pieces of the channel's videos, there appears to be three main presenters. Janessa, who was only shown a few times, Grace, who is more prevalent, and Court, who the channel is named after, all of whom display the same strange on-camera behaviors throughout each of the videos. None seem even close to comfortable, and it appears that they really don't want to be there filming these videos. Which this is strange, like especially for Court. Like, this is supposed to be her channel, and yet it's almost as if she's forcing herself to make these videos, or maybe someone else is forcing her. Now, the strange behavior aside, the actual content of these videos is very off as well. Their uploads are all over the place, as they range from topics from medical lessons to the anatomy of the universe, all the way to video editing tutorials. And what is displayed in each of these types of videos is that, again, these girls are no experts in these fields. It's almost as if they were hired to read these scripts, which actually makes no sense considering their obvious flaws as presenters. And what is also off-putting about this channel is its thumbnails. I mean, just take a look at a few of these and tell me that they aren't some of the most random that you've seen. Like in one of these videos, Court talks about how Grace almost died due to a bacterial infection, and how her friend actually did die from this same supposed type of infection. And with a video this sad, you would expect a more mundane thumbnail. Except this is the photo they used. Like, that's totally weird, right? And they include a lot more weird images within their videos that seemingly don't fit at all. They're just so random and they really don't sit well with me. So I think that we can all agree that at a glance, something not quite right is going on here. And the more you analyze the footage, the more disturbing it gets. I'm going to play you a part of one of their videos now and let you notice the next detail for yourself.
And about a month ago, I developed an infection that was about a 2-inch hole in my leg, and since then I've been healing it at home self-sufficiently, and it's about shrunk a 1/2 inch.
So yeah, this is terrifying. Not only does she have a strange hole in her leg that was apparently caused by a spider bite, but all over Court's body are bruises, all up her arms and all down her legs. And that's no natural amount of bruising. Like, that is definitely consistent with potential physical abuse or maybe drug abuse, which is why I really thought this situation is so dire. And Court isn't the only one with physical injuries. Some bruises can also be seen on Janessa's arms, along with the word bitch, which appears to almost be drawn with a marker. But rather than physical abuse, the bruises seen on her arm are more consistent with heroin use, which actually causes bruising in that very area when you miss the vein. But out of each of the girls, Grace seems to have the worst of the injuries. These images were included in a video that showed the effects of a supposed bacterial infection in Grace's arms that was caused by, yet again, another spider bite. The only issue with that is she claimed that it was a brown recluse spider that bit her, which are not found on the West Coast where the girls supposedly live. Plus, this type of injury doesn't even seem consistent with an infection caused by a spider in the first place, and many are convinced that Grace is simply lying about the origin of her wound. Now here's where things get even more dark. All of these girls show clear and obvious signs of drug abuse, not just from their actions and the way that they speak, but from their injuries as well. I mean, Court's hole in her leg is consistent with sepsis, which is caused by drug abuse. Janessa's arms clearly have marks that she shot up heroin, meth, or something along those lines. And as for the spider bite excuse that Grace used for her arm, well, blaming spider bites for physical signs of heroin and meth use is the #1 excuse almost all of the time. Like, this is a well-known thing with drug addicts at this point, so the fact that both Court and Grace use this as an excuse for their injuries really says something, especially because, yet again, the spiders they claim bit them aren't even found where they live. So what we have here are 3 girls who seem to be dealing with substance abuse. The signs are there, in their actions, their words, and on their bodies, and they all look sickly and just not well. So what is with these videos? Well, it's being theorized that these girls are being forced by someone to film these videos. This is why they seemingly know nothing about the actual content. It explains the rapid cutting and the script reading, and also why they very obviously have no interest in anything they're talking about, not to mention why they look so miserable. I mean, I really just get prisoner vibes when I see these girls. But who would force these girls to make such strange videos? And maybe more concerning, why? Well, this is when the situation yet again takes another dark and twisted turn. So searching to find out who is behind the camera, our first clue is the titles of some of the earlier videos. As you can see, some are in Chinese, and actually quite a few of them are dubbed over in Chinese as well.
And today I'm going to show you a few features on the Apple products.
今天我给大家介绍一下
And in one of the creepier videos, Court seems to be reading off a script about Chinese politics.
In loving memory of Mr. Zhao Zongxiang. I know he was the voice of China for many, many years, and also a celebrity and a billionaire.
Like, it's obviously forced, and it just comes across that she's, again, like a prisoner being told to say this stuff. Like, maybe she really is invested, but you tell me, like, does this sound genuine to you? So I think obviously whoever is running this account is either Chinese or is involved in Chinese politics or something along those lines. Like, it became instantly clear to me that there is some kind of tie there. And this is something that can actually be all but proven by examining the email address linked with the YouTube channel. When you type the email address into Google, one of the first results is a medical report published by someone named Dr. Yan Yarn. And when you look his name up, you discover that he also goes by the name Edwin Zong, who is a Chinese doctor that lives in Lancaster, California. So basically what I'm saying is this account is most likely run by this Dr. Edwin Zong, not by Court K and not by any of the other girls featured on this channel. So one would assume that he's the one who was writing these scripts for these girls, and potentially the one forcing them to film. Now there's something so weird about all of this. Guess what Dr. Zong specializes in? Addiction medicine. So people go to him in order to help with their addictions, which is likely how he met these 3 girls featured in this video. But this is concerning because it is very obvious that these girls are still using. Like, I hate to jump to that conclusion, but I don't see how I could view this in any other way. They really seem like they're still on drugs, or at least they were at the times that they filmed. So here's the theory. Could Zong be having his patients or former patients film these videos for him in exchange for drugs? Think about it. Zong could easily be shoveling them drugs through his practice and feeding their addictions, and in turn basically making them slaves to him. I mean, I know that sounds extreme, but it appears that these videos are being done against their will, and drug addicts will oftentimes do anything they can to obtain their drugs and to avoid withdrawal. Like, addiction is really that powerful, and Dr. Zong could really be using it to his advantage to control these girls. But where's the proof? Well, the story gets even more complicated from here, as there is one more piece to an already dark puzzle. Now, I believe as we speak, Dr. Zong owns a private practice in Bakersfield, California, and when he gets prescriptions for people, they are obtained through the pharmacy at their local Walgreens. This is important because it was revealed by a pharmacist working at that Walgreens that Zong's prescriptions were suspicious, as staffers noticed odd quantities of pills prescribed, 43 to 46, he says. Usually doctors call for 30 or 60 to match a daily dose for a 30-day month. So the fact that he was over-prescribing medications that these girls are potentially addicted to is crazy and terrifying, and is such a red flag in all of this. And I view this as legitimate evidence that Dr. Zong could be controlling these women by holding these drugs over their heads. Now in 2017, something strange happened at Zong's addiction help practice, because on April 25th of that year, Dr. Edwin Zong shot and killed a man within the very building that his business was ran. That day, 33-year-old David Lang entered the building and started yelling and swearing at Dr. Zong in his office. He then leaped over the table and started punching Zong. A patient came running in and yelled, "Hey," at Lang. This distracted Lang for just long enough for Dr. Zong to pull a gun from his drawer and to fire 3 shots at the irate man, killing him instantly. It was determined that Zong was using self-defense, and he was interviewed a day after by a local news station. He was still wearing the bloody clothes from the day before.
And he was so fast. I didn't even see like his face or his hand. And all I know is I feel like my head could get a hit.
As far as I'm concerned, it was never really specified what Lang had been yelling about and what provoked him to attack Dr. Zong, but there's a plausible theory out there. If all is to be believed in the story so far, then who is to say that Zong wasn't screwing with this man's recovery efforts? Maybe he was holding drugs over Lang's head too, and was trying to bribe him or force him to do something. And maybe Lang snapped. Either way, it just seems too convenient that something along these lines happened to such a seemingly sketchy guy. And even the fact that he was wearing his bloody clothes the day after the shooting, I don't know, it just appears so disingenuous. Not even to mention why he had a gun in his drawer in the first place. And for now, that's all we know. 3 women likely suffering from the effects of drug addiction, potentially being controlled by someone who can provide a means of obtaining those drugs, and all to push these strange videos and his strange medical beliefs. Dr. Zong's views on medicine are different, and they aren't something that I really wanted to get into in this video. But I think having these girls portray his information for him means that he can push his theories hard without having any real blowback. I mean, I'm not really sure, but it's certainly a motive for him to force these girls to film for him, as strange as it is. Now, whether all this is true or not can't really be said for now. After all, this case is literally a day old at the time that I'm writing the script, so lots can come forward from here. But I certainly don't want you guys to go over to this channel and harass these girls or try and contact Dr. Zong, because for all we know, this could be a misunderstanding or something along those lines. But from my point of view, I've seen a lot of fictional horror stories and fake accounts designed to scare people like this, but something about this channel seems very real. And we have to keep investigating and trying to discover the truth, because something genuinely sinister may be happening here.